Okay. So I want to start with sharing my screen here. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So this is basic savings. And one of the things, does anyone know one of the things you must have when you're starting over and starting to save? And a lot of people don't get it. However, it's something that we all have to fight through. What is it? Does anyone know?
Guilt or shame or mindset.
Yes, you hit it right on the spot. Because, like I said, we are a women owned ministry. And when we go and try to get into churches, because we try to volunteer into churches and other areas of faith filled individuals, um, the mindset, unfortunately, is the wrong mindset. And every time I teach about building credit, it's always presented as, oh, no man, nothing but to love them, right? However, the Bible also tells us to invest in different ways, seven yet eight. It tells us to split our money into invest. It tells us to be a good steward. It teaches us to use wisdom, right? And to apply it to things. When you have an income, income is taxed, right? Credit is not taxed. When you use credit is not taxed. So you have to use wisdom and strategy. And that is the area that I'm very, very, very good at. So I already introduced myself. I'm also a public speaker. I go to prisons, maximum security prisons, where the inmates are have been in there for over 30, 35 years, are and on their way out into society to help, even though there are programs to help shift their mindsets. I also let them know what it is, how it is for real on the outside, so they don't have to commit crimes to survive, right? Because I've been there. And to show them strategies on based on what God gifts, the gifts that God gave them on the inside to maximize on those gifts. Because all of us have seeds that have been sown into us, and all we have to do to water it, because God Himself is the one that gives the increase to what He's already given to us. I'm also a licensed insurance broker, and you're going to find out later on why this is important as a housing strategist that I'm doing. Okay, this is where I came from. This is the picture of part of my family in a car, right? This is me in the car. I know I look totally different than how I looked before. Um, this is me staying in someone's garage. This is my family, part of my family being in a shelter. Like I said, we were homeless for 2 years and 8 months. And when we get to the end, this is us being able to finally go on vacations. And anyone who's been to Disney World know Disney is expensive. Disney is expensive, right? So to come from homelessness and being able to go to Disney World, enjoy yourself, come back and not stress about how much money that you did not prepare to spend there, it is a great, great, great milestones. And again, I put this scripture at the bottom, John 16:33. Here on earth, we will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart, because the I is Jesus, have overcome the world. Everything has already been overcome. All you need is Him and someone else to help you who's been through it, to be a witness and a testimony to lead you forward. Okay? So, what do we have here? One of the first things I had to do, right, is to start a budget, creating a budget. How many people have heard about budget and they've it's basically run down to the ground? Creating a budget, creating a budget, creating a budget. How many people have heard about creating a budget? If you do not know how much money is coming out and going in, you're not going to be able to, one, present it to God, and number two, create strategies on how to not live paycheck to paycheck. So you might be asking, if I started with 8 cents, how did I create a budget? So one thing I did not say, at that time while I was homeless, I was a registered nurse, right? I was a registered nurse at that time. However, I was not able to work often because being homeless and not having a bed to lie down, so no laying down, you had to stand up or sit down because my the kids were in the back lying down so they could be well rested for school. Um, your circulation gets extremely bad. I don't know how many people have seen homeless people. They have ulcers on their legs are swollen. It's because you are not able to decompress your spine and fluid starts to build up. And because of that, even though I did go to work once a week, I was not able to bend my knees or my hips, meaning it was very hard for me to walk up and down stairs. I cannot count how many times I almost fell downstairs, because have anyone ever tried to walk up and downstairs and not bend their knees? It is extremely difficult to do that. But even though I was going through that, right? The money I made sure I budget. Now you're asking, how did I do that? When I had the 8 cents, right? I opened my account with 8 cents. When I got paid, this is important. This is how you budget when you have small amounts of money, right? I made sure that I knew that my family had to eat. So what did I do? At that time, things were cheaper because it was several years ago. However, I had a grill. I purchased one of those small circular, I don't know if anyone's seen those small grills that's usually for just two people eating on the grill, not the big ones that they have for whole families. The small grill that holds charcoal in the bottom. Because eating out, even though you're homeless, and I was blessed to have a vehicle, you can do a lot in a vehicle. So you have to think of the essentials. When you budget, you have to think of the essentials. You have to think of what you need and what you want. Does anyone know the difference between need and want? Anyone? Do you know the difference between need and want?
A need, I would say a need would be something that is a mandatory item like water, like the bare necessities, and a want is something that you desire, like, oh, I want to be able to own my home one day, or I want to be able to drive a fancy car.
And also, for those are big wants. Smaller wants are, I want to go and what a lot of people eat. Go to the seafood place and get the seafood platter. Go to the steakhouse and get the tomahawk because they saw it on social media. um Go out and buy a brand new wig, right? And I'm not talking about the wigs from Amazon. I'm not talking about those kind of wigs. I'm talking about the wigs that's made from human hair and they're hand stitched. You know the wigs I'm talking about. The expensive ones. Those you can have. However, you have to consider, you have to delay your gratification, right? So what? one of the things I did, I downloaded Every Dollar. Have anyone heard about Every Dollar by Dave Ramsey? Have anyone heard of Dave Ramsey?
Yes, I've heard of Dave Ramsey.
Yes. So I downloaded Every Dollar and I went into Every Dollar and I put in all of my expenses and I put in my income. And with Every Dollar, it shows you at the top your gross, it shows you your net, and it shows you if you're in the green or in the red. Green means that you have extra income after you put in your needs, right? And the red is if you need to increase your income because, or you need to cut some things out. You need to cut out some subscriptions. You need so this helps you determine, because when you're first starting, a lot of families do not get this teaching. So we have to learn from scratch how to do it. And it's important we learn from scratch how to do this, because when I get closer to the end of the slide, I'm going to show how to build a portfolio. But you have to understand it's going to get confusing if you don't get this part first. This part is important. And if you're the type of person that wants to save and not look at the money, because you have a hard time not spending it when you look at it, we automate our savings in most of the apps. I'm thinking about the banks because I bank with several banks. Um, yeah, yeah, all five or six of them, because I just closed the bank right now because I keep forgetting about this bank account for some reason. So I closed one of them because it was just too many bank accounts. So all of them has automatic saving. Does have anyone seen it in their bank app when they've looked into their app? Have they ever seen automatic to put money into savings?
I never noticed, but I guess I didn't look for that, so I will look for it now.
Okay, so if you have a debit account, I highly suggest, is absolutely necessary for you to open a high yield savings account. And when you open the high yield savings account, you can set up in your debit account that if you have a job, meaning you're working for someone else, you automatically transfer that money as soon as that check hits your bank account. It transfers either a dollar amount or percentage amount to your high yield savings. Do not, I repeat, do not have more than one debit account in the beginning, because most debit account do not give you an annual percentage yield, where when the bank is using your money, because the bank is using your money and the bank only keeps 10% of what you put in. So if you put in $100, the bank only holds on to, if that now, 10 of those dollars, and they loan out the rest of your money to someone else at a high interest rate, right? So you have to get a high yield savings so you can make some type of money in the beginning. After we establish this, I'm going to tell you how to increase your yield after. However, in the beginning, just to get your mind into the idea that you can save and get out of the mindset of fear and lack that tells a person, oh, I can't save, because I've heard it a lot. I've heard it a lot. A lot of people tell me that they can't save. And so I asked them, if you put aside 50 cents in your account, and this sounds low as ever, but because I know a person is dealing with fear, I have to go to a very low number. And I say, if you put 50 cents in a high yield savings, what are you missing? What can 50 cents purchase for you right now? What can 50 cents purchase for you right now? Okay.
Maybe a piece of candy.
I think a piece of candy is more than 50 cents. I think a piece of candy.
Maybe. I think if you look, I think if you search, you'll find something that's on sale
Hmm.
for 50 cents. Maybe.
So people that tell me that they can't save, trust me, you can save because it is fear that you are fighting with. Is not the fact that you can't save. Yes, you have a lot of bills, and I also have opportunities for people to increase their income, but that's later on. However, right now, 50 cents, 25 cents, a dollar. These are things that your heart is not going to start racing. That's why a lot of people tell people to put aside 20%. And I'm like, if a person is coming from poverty and have fear and lack overtaking them, they are going to find it very, very difficult to put aside 20% when they have light bill, water bill, cell phone, what is it, gas if you have a car, maintenance. I mean, the list goes, and then if you have children, it's even more, it's even more.
Child care, pampers, food, diapers, milk. Can we go on?
Yes, and then people give up. And that's why I love going to places where people are extreme, extreme poverty, because I let them know that it can be done. Yes, it's good to put aside the 20%. Of course, 10% goes back into sowing into someone else, but that's at a different level when a person gets out of that deep level of fear and lack. Have anyone ever seen the shows about hoarders, people that hoard whatever? Some people hoard
Yes.
newspapers. It's all kind of stuff people hoard.
Yeah.
um that is coming from the same place of fear and lack. And I'm not talking about the people who have medical conditions that they're not able to move. And I'm not talking about those people. I'm not talking, that's a different category. I'm talking about people who are able bodied and can move and deal with a mental issue. One of those issues is fear. It can be a lot of other issues going on, but one of them, I can guarantee you, in the midst, is fear and lack. They went through something in their life, right? So we don't want anyone there. So please, I use every dollar, but there's budget.com. There, every dollar is just so easy to use and easy to learn. That's why I recommend every dollar. Cause it just, you don't have to. Let me just also add, every dollar has a free version and a paid version. I used the free version. The paid version is the one that monitors your bank account and looks into it to see what you're spending. That's to me, for me, that's too much. It's too invasive for me. However, some people are afraid to look at their money, but in order for you to grow and create generational wealth, you're going to have to look at your money. You're going to have to get to the point to look at your money at some point, right? Um, some people like creating spreadsheets because they like numbers, right? Even though they're poor with not spending money and buying a new shoe when they don't need one and all these other things. I personally do not like spreadsheets. I personally like an app. So you have to find out which one you prefer so that you can stick to it, because if you don't like it, you are not going to stick to it. You must know where your money is going. Okay? We have to prioritize our spending. I'm going to ask a question. All right? How important is it? Is this a need or a want to go out every day at work to purchase your lunch from anywhere that's around where you're working? Is this a need or a want?
I want
What makes you say it's a want?
because you could do it. You could prep your lunch at home and take it with you.
Absolutely, which gets into meal prepping. And I understand that some people might not know how to cook, but one of the good things is even a homeless person through Lifeline with the department. Well, it used to be Department of Children and Family. I just found out the other day that they separated um Lifeline from the Department of Children and Family. I don't know how they separated it because it's still on the Department of Children and Family application, but they you have a Lifeline that gives you a cell phone. And one of the good things about having a cell phone is YouTube University. If you don't know how to cook and meal prep, trust me, there are many, many, many people on YouTube University that will teach you how to meal prep. They will teach you how to meal prep and how to do things. And if you find someone that's homeless and that's asking you for help and wants to know some strategies and needs help with things, sometimes these homeless or unhoused, now they say they prefer unhoused instead of homeless, right? These individuals a lot of times um have family or friends, even though the family or friends don't want them living there, right? A lot of times they allow you to use their kitchen so you can meal prep your food and you could take it with you, because not everyone wants, even though you're family, not everyone wants extra people in their house for whatever reason, and that's their house, so they can make the decision based on their house. And if you know anyone that's homeless that needs help, your Water Foundation is there, 'cause I could teach them some strategies, right? And also get them in touch with some resources. Okay, after you are keen and you know where your money is coming in and going out. How many people have seen Dave Ramsey speak and what he says about how to save? Does anyone remember what he says?
So I know he said do not get a credit card and only use cash or eat noodles every.
Okay, see, that's what's that. Yeah, he tell people about noodles, which is a horrible suggestion because no one wants high blood pressure, and then as soon as you save, you paying the you paying the emergency room because that's a whole different thing, right? So with me, I believe in credit cards. Like I said before, because credit cards will help you build your credit while you're homeless, right? So you'll be able to qualify for more things and it expedites things. However, you have to know how to use the credit card and understand how to use the credit card. Otherwise, it will get you in even more issues, which leads me to say my next series is going to be on building credit. So we have to eliminate unnecessary expenses. Can anyone think of any unnecessary expenses that they believe that they have done in the past month, meaning October, or they feel like they're susceptible to for the month of November, especially December, because a lot of people end up in financial devastation in the holidays. So this is a perfect time right now. Anyone can think of any unnecessary expenses that they have been um susceptible to.
Within the last 2 months, you said?
I said for October, because these are the holidays: October, November, December.
Um, Not for the last 2 months, but I know making a car payment is unnecessary.
A car payment, if you want your car, is a necessary payment. It is a necessary payment. And but a lot of people go over the top when it comes to gift purchases. No, you can buy gifts. However, you have to budget buying gifts, and every dollar is good for that. It also has that too. It has donating, buying gifts. It has going out, but you have to budget for going out. It's not that you can't go out. Even though we hear that Dave Ramsey says a lot about not going out eating noodles, rice and beans, you can go out. You just have to budget for it so you do not go too far with the information, right?
Yeah,
How does
I
uh-huh.
did I got rid of my Audible account, which I love, in order and said, okay, you really could just get a library card.
Yeah, you could get a library card and again, YouTube University, because a lot of people don't know that a lot of books are on YouTube. Trust me, I know because I've listened to a lot of books on YouTube. A lot of them are on YouTube to cut costs. A lot. When I say a lot of books are on YouTube. So when you want to find a book, if the library doesn't have it, or sometimes the library also orders it from wherever they order it from, for you, you can also look on YouTube for that book, right? And what are we supposed to do with unexpected money? There is we have a hint right here. With
Put it in your
unexpected,
savings.
yes, you're supposed to put it in your savings. Now, if you're falling behind in bills, right? Always make sure that you pay yourself first. Paying yourself for first is extremely, extremely, extremely important, because if you do not pay, okay, how many people have heard, I'm happy being broke as long as all my bills are paid? How many people have heard that?
I've said it. I've heard it.
And that is a poverty mindset. So you need a mindset shift, because that 10% of unexpected, that word unexpected, it means a lot right there. It means that you did not anticipate that in your budget, and if you were sticking to your budget, right, this money, once you take out your 10 to 20% out of this unexpected money and put it into a high yield savings account for emergencies, right, it can build interest and you can still catch up on things you need to catch up on. So this is also a perfect time because tax time is coming around, and a lot of people, what do we see? Have anyone here ever been to Walmart during the holidays?
Yeah,
Yes.
And what have we seen every single holiday at Walmart?
People buy unnecessary TVs, people buy unnecessary bedroom sets, people buy unnecessary bicycles.
I see them putting things on layaway.
Yes.
I don't know if layaway is still around
No, yeah.
at Walmart, but I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I think it's called Afterpay now. Is it Afterpay or is it? I can't remember what it's called because I don't use it, so I have no idea. But it's called something that they use, right? And I see so many people coming out of Walmart with these huge TVs that can't fit in their cars. Number two. Number one, you bought a TV that you don't need. Number two, you bought a TV that can't even fit in your vehicle, and you're standing in the parking lot looking confused to see how you could get this TV that you shouldn't have purchased in the first place into your vehicle to get home with it. And this is where the problem is, right? People spend the money and they're satisfied with survival. Let's get out of the survival mindset and get into the wealth mindset. We have to change our mindset. If you do not purchase a brand new TV, um, I don't even know what people purchase now because I try not to go out on the holidays because it's crazy. But whatever they're purchasing on the holidays, you can live without that item, especially if you purchased it with unexpected money. All right. Unexpected money is a bonus. Please use it as such. Do not repeat what we've done before in the past. It's time to shift our mindset. This right here catches a lot of people. Impulse purchases. How many people have heard a person say, "Oh, I'm going out to do this, this, and this because I deserve it," even though they have not paid their light or their water or their rent or their mortgage or their cell phone, which they need for their job, or their car note, which they need to get to the job, right? Especially if they're not close to public transportation. How many people have heard, because I've heard it so many times about people no one is saying that you can't purchase things for yourself, but did you budget for that? That's the question. You can purchase things for yourself, but do not have it as an impulse purchase. If you see something that you want, right, it is suggested for you to put it on a wish list, and whatever you're using, whatever, if you're using Amazon, if you're using um what are other purchasing, if you're using Shein, if you're using Temu, if you're using AliExpress, if you're using the Target cart, if you're using the Walmart cart, if you're using the whoever shopping cart that's out there, put it on your wish list or put it in your saved cart and wait. Do not purchase it immediately because you will find majority of the times your mindset changes for that specific product, right? That's how storage units are so prosperous at this time, is because we over purchase things. I have never seen so many storage units popping up left and right because we over consume and over purchase. So we have to decrease those impulse purchases. So before I get into the 5 steps of building a portfolio, does anyone have any questions that's not personal, because we're recording, um, before we get into this? Okay. Since there are no questions, we have 5 parts of building, starting and building a portfolio. We have 3 to 6 months of savings, which is, does anyone remember what kind of account this is when you're first starting out? It is a high yield savings account that you're using because you need to make money on your money. How many people have a retirement account and understand how the retirement account works? How many people have a retirement account, a pre-existing, meaning you used to work for a company and have retirement, or working right now and have retirement?
Me.
Okay. So, do we know the difference between a 401k, a 403b, an IRA, and a Roth? People that have retirement accounts. It's important because it affects the taxes, especially when you get to a point of
Nope.
retirement. Mm-hmm.
Somewhat.
So how, tell me what, don't be afraid if because I took everyone's face off the screen, so no one's gonna know, in case everyone's like, oh my goodness, I might say something wrong.
Mhm.
We're learning. We're
I,
learning.
I know a 403B is government,
Mm-hmm.
a government retirement plan.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I have it on here. A 403B is tax deferred. Tax deferred means that when you get to the point of removing that money, you are going to pay the taxes based on the tax bracket that is, of those monies falling into. And those taxes change over time, right? So it is a tax deferred account. The same like a 401k from a company that's not a government entity or a nonprofit. You have a 401k, and that is also tax deferred, meaning the tax is put into the future for you to pay. Does everyone get this so far? Because I'm going to get even more into this as I move forward.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So an IRA, right, is also tax deferred. Now, you have a regular IRA or you have a self directed IRA account. And the difference between that is with the IRA, with all of the, with these retirement accounts here, other than the self directed, which I don't have here, you move the money where you want the money to go. In these other accounts, you can choose the pool of companies that you want the money to go into, right? Um, Most of the time, the whoever's holding that retirement account, um, choose the account for that money to go into. However, with a self-directed, you can also invest in real estate. So you can do an exchange to use that money to invest in real estate. Now, when you sell that real estate, that money must go back into the retirement account. So that money can be used in the market or in purchasing other assets to buy and sell to put the money back into the the retirement account. So that's the difference between the self-directed. Now, my throat. Hold on. With a Roth account is tax free, meaning you pay the taxes now. So when it's time to remove the money from the Roth, there are no taxes to be paid. So you have to decide, do you want to pay your taxes now because you know what a tax is right now? Or do you want the tax to be deferred, pushed back for when you are taking the money out to pay whatever that tax amount is? So that is something that you have to think about. And I know I said some people don't like looking at money. That's why I said at some point, if you want to start building a portfolio, you're going to have to start looking at the money, right? But when you're first starting, you can do the automatic transfer and everything. But at some point, if you want to be a little bit more in depth and to be in a little bit more control to possibly increase the money, you have to look into the money. And when I say look into the money, also, let me also add, if anyone is thinking about opening a trust, I also have a partnership with a real estate attorney to for you to do a free consultation with a real estate attorney if you have um these retirements, and especially if you have a self-directed retirement account and you want to purchase assets for the money to go back in, for them to have to build a trust to create generational wealth. So we have individual stocks. So we already had two things that you need to have in your portfolio. You need to have savings, you need to have retirement, you need to have some type of other investment also, which can be individual stocks, ETFs, index funds, mutual funds, or digital currencies. Okay, so one of the ways I started investing in individual stocks, even though they tell people not to do individual unless you know what you're doing, and I highly suggest you not do that unless you know what you're doing. Okay, so I highly suggest an ETF that has the it depends on what market you want. If you want the pharmaceutical, you look for those type of stocks that's pulled together. If you're looking for tech, which is risky, so it is very volatile, it fluctuates. So let me just let you know right now. You can look for that type of bundle of stocks. If you want to do international, you could look for that bundle of stocks, right? And of course, if you want local, the Fortune 500, of course, to I send a lot of people to invest to follow the Fortune 500 companies, the top 500 companies that performs in the United States of America. So I also encourage people to do that because it's less hands-on than if you are managing a single stock. I started with a single stock because I purchase certain types of items, and because I purchase those items, I buy stocks in those items. So when someone else purchases this thing, I make money also, because when you purchase a stock, you are part owner of that stock. Okay, we have real estate. Now, there's different types. Wait, before I go on, does anyone have any questions that's not personal with these three that I just went over? No questions? Okay. You have real estate, right? And with real estate, you can be a real estate investor, or you can be a hard money lender. Once you get to the point that you have enough money built up in your retirement, you can actually lend it out. So, which make sure you speak to an attorney before you do this stuff, because you want to make sure you get your money back. Um, you can be a hard money lender for real estate, or you can have your own real estate, right? And when you have your own real estate, a lot of people pay off their house and they end up losing their house. Why? Because the taxes go up astronomically during changes in the market. And when the changes in the market, your taxes are based on fair market value, right? And when that goes up, that fair market value, you could have been paying $1,500 a year for your taxes for your house, and it could jump up to $15,000 a year. That's why I tell people when they if they don't want to get into real estate and doing all the extra stuff, they just want to own a house. Make sure you get insurance on that house, because when you have anyone ever heard of PMI when you're purchasing a house?
Yes.
Okay, does anyone know what PMI is?
I forgot the acronym, but I know it's 20% of your mortgage price, something like that.
Okay, so when you purchase a home, if you put down less than 20% of that purchase price, you have PMI, private mortgage insurance, which protects the lender in case something happens to that home to cover the cost of that house in full. So if you put down less than 20% on a home purchase price, you have private mortgage insurance that protects the lender, not you, the lender. If something happens to your home and you don't have a house and you don't have the proper insurance on your house based on how the house got damaged, um, you still have a mortgage. You just don't have a house. Okay. So we don't want anyone ending up there. So you have to make sure that you protect yourself, right? So many people are losing their houses right now because of the taxes and everything that's going on. So if those people had insurance to protect them, because the lender already has private mortgage insurance if you put down less than 20%. All right. Which also leads me to say, once you get to the point of purchasing a house, oh, also I have a home ready series that I teach people about home purchasing. And it takes step by step and it stacks on each other. And I think we're already 5 months in, and it's a lot of information. It's a lot. So once we finish the series, I will sell the series to other people on for anywhere, but in the beginning, I'm literally walking people through the series so they can ask questions and everything like that. But later on, the series is just going to be out there for anyone to purchase who wants to know the in-depth details on home purchasing. But you have to protect yourself, all right? So what you have to do is to get insurance, so in case you either get sick and you can't work, you've been diagnosed with something that you thought that you'll be able to pay off your house, but you find out that you can't. um if any situation happens, there's actually insurance to pay your mortgage, to make sure you do not lose your home. And people do not tell people this when they purchase a house. And this is so important, because how many people have purchased a home and they purchased it with their partner? Something happens to the partner who was the breadwinner, and then they're not able to pay for the mortgage for that house. We don't want you being in that position. So there is insurance for that, and it's a term insurance that's for specific for real estate to pay for that. Now, if you have real estate and there's equity in your house, there's also protection in that area too, because most people take out the equity and do a what is it a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit. They do a HELOC, they do a refi, right? However, you can do a HEA, home equity advancement, and you can put that money in insurance, right? And it will increase in value. So when you take out any type of money on your equity of a home, there is interest to be paid. So what we teach people to do is when you take out the equity, don't move money unless it makes you money, right? Once you take out this money, I'm giving y'all extra information that I have for my housing, which is not free. It's not a free course. It's paid. But I wanted to give this extra information, right? So you take out this, you put this money into an annuity, and the annuity pays you, it could be up to 12, 13% on your money. And you make, if you have an interest that you have to pay back, let's say you took out $100,000 and your interest is 7, because right now housing about 7%, 8%, 7.2%, those around that area there, and you get an interest rate of 6 to 7%, right? That you have to pay back on your $100,000. But if you put that in an annuity, right, and you're making 12%, you are making more money than the money you took out. But no one knows to tell you that when you're purchasing a house. It's so much things you have to know when you're purchasing a house, because a house can make you money even though you're not investing as like an investor, selling, leasing, and doing all the extra stuff that investors do. There are ways to do it. And that's why I said that I'm licensed also in that area, because I do not want people losing homes. No, I do not want that happening. Which leads me to say the fifth is an annuity and insurance. Insurance, oh my goodness. Who are the most people who use and utilize insurance? Does anyone know? The people that utilize life insurance the most.
The Jews.
The Jews, and there's another class of people.
Wealthy.
Yes, the Jews and the wealthy people. Because I talk to a lot of low income people and I try to tell them the benefit of insurance. And insurance have cash value, it has death benefit. I mean, it has long-term care benefits. It become disabled, so you could get pension, you could get disability, you could get, because it's not considered an income when you get the insurance. You could get pension if you work for one of those companies that have pension. You get pension. You could get disability, right? You could have long-term care payment from your insurance. Three forms of money coming in, and not to mention if you own a house and you already purchased an annuity, that also pays for long-term care. How many people want to be in that position that you have $5 to $6,000 based on how much money you put in, if you're unable to work, but you still have 5 to 6, 7, $8,000 coming in? Who want? How many people want to be in that position?
Right here.
That's why you have to implement these things in advance. It is absolutely necessary. And these are the five. So if anyone, I'm gonna send out the PowerPoint to everyone that registered, because Eventbrite keeps track of everyone that registers. So you will get the PowerPoint presentation, right? How many people have how many people have any amount of these five things in their portfolio? Does anyone have any of these five in their portfolio? And if you do, how many of them do you have in your portfolio now?
One.
Oh, that's good, because some people have none. Yes. That is good. That is very, very, very good. Very good. How many other people? Anyone else?
I
Two,
would say
two.
3.
That's good. That's good. Anyone else?
Two.
Oh, that's good. See, See, and people, and we think that we don't have anything here. It's just that we don't know how to utilize it, right? So these are the things that we have to have in building a portfolio to make sure your portfolio is diverse. We want to be good stewards of the things that God has blessed us with. I want everyone to remember to be mindful of your long-term goals. So when you get that impulse to purchase something and you did not put it in your saved wish list or saved cart, depending on what platform you're using, if you're Target, Walmart, I don't know, Ulta, all these other Sephora, wherever you go. If remember that you want long-term goals. Remember that you want to be a good parent. The Bible lets us know that a good parent leaves an inheritance for their children's children. And even though we did not walk into it ourselves from our parents, we can change it now because the resources are here for every single one of us. And your children won't have to start where you started, right? And we do not want our kids to start back over from scratch. I want to thank everyone for joining. And this is not the end. I'm just going to stop the recording. So I'm just going to stop the recording so people can ask personal questions. Again, we're a women owned ministry. If you want to donate, any small amount helps us to continue to provide free events, to continue for us to go to prisons, to help other. It basically helps us to do outreach to help people in the community. And if you want to learn more, you can go to my personal website, and it's going to give you information on there.